Hello and welcome back to A Course in Miracles workbook for students. We are on lesson 66. My happiness and my function are one. You have surely noticed an emphasis throughout our recent lessons on the connection between fulfilling your function and achieving happiness. This is because you do not really see the connection, yet there is more than just a connection between them. They are the same. Their forms are different, but their content is completely one.
The ego does battle, constant battle with the Holy Spirit on the fundamental question of what your function is. So does it do constant battle with the Holy Spirit about what your happiness is. It is not a two-way battle. The ego attacks and the Holy Spirit does not respond. He knows what your function is. He knows that it is your happiness.
Today, we will try to go past this wholly meaningless battle and arrive at the truth about your function. We will not engage in senseless arguments about what it is. We will not become hopelessly involved in defining happiness and determining the means for achieving it. We will not indulge the ego by listening to its attack on truth. We will merely be glad that we can find out what truth is.
Our longer practice period today has as its purpose your acceptance of the fact that not only is there a real, very real connection between the function God gave you and your happiness, but that they are actually identical. God gives you only happiness. Therefore, the function He gave you must be happiness, even if it appears to be different. Today's exercises are an attempt to go beyond these differences in appearance and recognize a common content where it exists in truth.
Begin the 10 to 15-minute practice period by reviewing these thoughts. God gives me only happiness. He has given my function to me. Therefore, my function must be happiness. Try to see the logic in this sequence, even if you do not yet accept the conclusion. It is only if the first two thoughts are wrong that the conclusion could be false. Let us then think about the premises for a while as we are practicing.
The first premise is that God gives you only happiness. This could be false, of course, but in order to be false, it is necessary to define God as something He is not. Love cannot give evil, and what is not happiness is evil. God cannot give what He does not have, and He cannot have what He is not. Unless God gives you only happiness, He must be evil. And it is this definition of Him that you are believing if you do not accept the first premise.
Pardon me. The second premise is that God has given you your function. We have seen that there are only two parts of your mind. One is ruled by the ego and is made up of illusions. The other is the home of the Holy Spirit where truth abides. There are no other guides, but these to choose between. What? There are no other guides but these to choose between, and no other outcomes possible as a result of your choice, but the fear that the ego always engenders, and the love that the Holy Spirit always offers to replace it.
Thus, it must be that your function is established by God through His voice, or is made by the ego, which you have made to replace Him, which is true. Unless God gave your function to you, it must be the gift of the ego. Does the ego really have gifts to give, being itself an illusion and offering only the illusion of gifts? Okay, this is what we were talking about earlier.
Yeah. Think about this during the longer practice period today. Also think about the many forms of the illusion of your function has taken in your mind and the many ways in which you tried to find salvation under the ego's guidance. Did you find it? Were you happy? Did they bring you peace? We need great honesty today. Remember the outcomes fairly and consider also whether it was ever reasonable to expect happiness from anything the ego ever proposed. Yet the ego is the only alternative to the Holy Spirit's voice.
You will listen to madness or hear the truth. Try to make this choice as you think about the premises on which our conclusion rests. We can share in this conclusion, but in no other. For God Himself shares it with us. Today's idea is another giant stride in the perception of the same as the same and the different as different. On one side stands all illusions, all truth stands on the other. Let us try today to realize that only the truth is true.
Very much what we were talking about.
Mhm.
In the shorter practice periods, which would be most helpful today, if undertaken twice an hour, this form of the application is suggested. My happiness and function are one because God has given me both. It will not take more than a minute, but probably less, to repeat these words slowly and think about them a little while as you say them. My happiness and function are one because God has given me both. Well, this is fun. I love
Yeah,
the synchronicity always of what's happening.
yeah, yeah. It's a very wordy lesson. Um, so our function is to forgive that which is not real,
Yeah,
to see it as unreal, and it's not there. It's just an appearance.
yeah,
So whether we have loving thoughts, I mean, they're more real, but they're still unreal. They point to the real, but they're still unreal. So if we
yeah.
say, "Oh, I have such loving thoughts," or "I have such judgmental thoughts," they're both coming from the illusion.
Yes,
So if we make one real and the other not real, we're living in an illusion.
yes,
And we're identifying that that's our voice. It is not our voice. That, like it says, how does the Holy Spirit respond? In silence.
yeah. It doesn't respond. Where
It
did I
doesn't
give you?
respond because it doesn't have any opposition to anything other because there is no other.
Right.
It doesn't
The
exist.
ego attacks and the Holy Spirit does not respond. He knows what your function is. He knows that it is your happiness. So he
Yeah.
just doesn't
Only the truth
respond.
is true. And that our true nature is true. And that's
Yeah,
what we are. We are just as God has created us, which is happiness.
yeah,
But it's not happiness for a reason. Like it's not happy because I'm having loving thoughts.
yeah,
That's kind of what we made up. That's what the ego makes up. Oh, I'm happy because I'm having loving thoughts. No,
yeah,
that happiness is our nature.
yeah.
It's not a condition, whether we have, what kind of thoughts we have, because the thoughts are all unreal. It's like they don't mean anything. Lesson number one, these thoughts don't mean anything.
hmm You
So
have
that's
surely
the
noticed an
illusion.
emphasis throughout our recent lessons on the connection between fulfilling your function and achieving happiness. This is because you do not really see the connection. Yet there is more than just a connection between them, they are the same. Their forms are different, but their content is completely one. Pardon me.
Yeah. Only the
So
truth is true, and nothing else is true,
that's right.
which
Only the
means
truth is true.
everything that's an appearance is not true. It and it's okay to, and even in the judgment, even judgment isn't real.
Yeah.
If we hear judgment in the mind, why think that we're doing it? Like there's nobody doing that. It's just
It's our
part and
mind.
parcel of the illusion. And we
Me.
don't, and it's like, oh, that's we it, there's a recognition that it is an illusion, and it's okay
hmm
because illusions don't mean anything. So they can run, however they want to run. Like there's no need to get rid of them.
Yeah, or attack them or anything. It just, they
Just
can just flow and we
who we
can,
are responds in silence. Like we just hmm, hmm, like look upon them as having no consequence whatsoever, no cause and no consequence.
Mhm. Yeah,
Even though the judgment's there and go, oh yeah, there is consequences. Like even that we can look upon in silence
yeah,
because everything can be looked upon in silence.
yeah,
But
with no response.
in this world, we want to join in that silence. We want to join in that truth. That's what I want.
Yeah.
If somebody's in an illusion, I can be silent about it, but is that what I want
Hmm.
in that moment? Right? Or do I want to join in the truth? And I don't know, like some people are ready to join in the truth and some aren't. Like
Hmm.
I don't have control over that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But how joyful it is when there's a joining in the truth. That's really it's a beautiful thing.
Exactly. The
Is
first
there
premise is that God gives you only happiness. This could be false, of course, but in order for it to be false, it is necessary to define God as something he is not. Love cannot give evil, and what is not happiness is evil. God does not cannot give what he does not have, and he cannot have what he is not. So there only gives you happiness because he's not anything other than love.
yeah. There's no fight. There's no like remembering the truth. There's absolutely no fight.
Hmm.
There's just a looking and recognition that it's not true. Even though fighting can happen, appearances, fighting can happen like in the appearance, but even that isn't opposed.
Hmm.
It's like, oh, fighting's happening. There's no opposition to it.
Yeah,
Okay, fighting's happening. Like, so in the appearance, anything can happen.
exactly. And it does.
And it does. And it's
And
okay.
that's what
But
keeps us
there's no
busy.
judgment of that,
Yeah,
right? That's why, yeah, it's, it's hard to grasp that.
yeah,
It's a difficult one to grasp.
it is. Because anything that's not love is the ego attacking.
And yet even attack is 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 just what's happening. So it's
Yeah,
not opposed. There's no opposition to anything.
yeah, yeah,
With anything negative, there's no opposition to anything negative because negativity isn't real.
yeah,
But the ego goes, oh, no, that's real. That's bad. We got to
yeah,
fight that away. Like we got to get rid of it.
yeah,
But that's an illusion. We don't have to
yeah,
get rid of anything.
yeah.
But we were brought up to believe that we had a job to do. Like, and, but that's not our function. Our function is to remember that there is no such thing as evil. Like there, even though we can appear to oppose it in this realm.
But there is no evil.
No, it's just an appearance of evil.
Yeah.
And appearances aren't real. So that is that recognition is our happiness.
Yeah. I'm glad you're here with me because this is one I can,
It gets
ultimately I know
confusing.
this, but it's not confusing. It's just there's so many thoughts that are not saying it's possible or not possible, whatever, but it's just
Mhm.
the ego attacks and the Holy Spirit does not respond. And we
Yeah.
are the Holy Spirit.
Yes. Yes.
We know what our function is. We know that it is our happiness. Today, we will try to go past this wholly meaningless battle and arrive at the truth about your function. We will not engage in senseless arguments about what it is. We will not become hopelessly involved in defining happiness and determining the means. We will, and then this is all in number 3, we will merely be glad that we can find out what the truth is.
Oh,
So
yeah.
we like to make it complicated. We like to make all the things about it. We like to decide we should be happy or not happy, and neither of them are real.
hmm The thing
But,
is, when it's that last statement, when it says we, it's speaking on behalf of our truth.
yes.
It's not speaking on behalf of the ego. The ego doesn't know the truth. So every time the ego is trying to figure it out, it's wrong
Yeah.
because it's not real. It's that's what's that's the trick. It's like we will merely be glad that we can find out what the truth is, but it's not an objective truth.
Yeah.
It's not something you can actually define. It
Yeah.
because that's the ego's always defining the truth.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be that because the ego isn't true to begin with. So it
That's
doesn't
right.
know the truth. But the truth always remains, it's always present.
It is always present.
And it can't be threatened.
Yes. God gives you only happiness. Therefore, the function he gave you must be happiness, even if it appears to be different.
Yes. Even
Yeah.
if it appears to be different. See,
Yeah.
the ego is always based on appearances. Oh, that's bad because that's an appearance of
Yeah.
badness. So
Yeah.
it judges the appearance. But the Holy Spirit doesn't see differences in appearances. They're all the same.
Well, and there's no appearances.
Not really, but if there's going to be,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
They're equal.
They're all the same.
A
Yeah.
judgment is seen as the same as a forgiveness in this world. Oh,
Yes.
someone forgives somebody. But
Yeah.
but the true forgiveness is seeing that there's no differences in anything. Like it's radical truth.
Radical truth.
And our function is to see through differences, that they're not different. It's it's a trump card in a way, like it trumps over all differences and says
Yeah.
it's all the same. And the error that the ego makes is that it's always trying to organize and divide and separate and
Yeah.
isolate and categorize and compare and contrast, and it's constantly doing that. But that doesn't mean anything. It can do
Yeah.
that, but that's
Yeah.
its function.
Yeah.
But that's not our function. Our function is to see through that, all of it.
Yes.
And it's all okay. It doesn't mean anything
Yeah. Yeah.
because our function is to see wholeness. And that's what we are. We are wholeness. And the error is to divide. But in that error, no error is being made, really.
You're just noticing the illusion and what is not, and
Yes.
forgetting, and then it's just funny. Oh, I got caught again. Haha. Come back to what the truth is. And
Yeah. It's the truth is always remain. It's always, it's all that is. It's all
it's
that
all,
is.
yeah.
But the illusion, it says, oh, no, no, that's
No,
different.
no, no.
This is different. But even in that statement, it's it still remains whole and complete.
Yeah.
So all of the seeking is 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 just a waste of time. There's nothing to seek
Right. Right.
because the truth is already present. Like what are we looking for? When what we're looking for is what we already are. So it's
Yeah.
it's a little trick of the mind to keep looking.
Yeah. And of course, in that expression, you're looking outside, and where it's always really just inside. Because
hmm
I can remember when I was searching for God in my earlier years, but I was always looking outside. It would never occurred to me that it would be here.
I know. Yeah. Even when you look at other people and they appear to be searching for something, that's an illusion. Like
Yeah,
that appearance is not our function to judge, or whether they're doing it right or wrong or whatever. Because
yeah,
in our judgment, we're believing that our judgment is correct.
right.
But it's not even real.
It's not even real.
We're making our judgments real, and they're not. They're nothing. It's so radical.
No thing.
And that happiness is it kind of is birthed out of our function to remember that there is no there's no real judgment ever made. It was all an illusion of a judgment. It's sort of like a dream, like you're going, oh, I had a dream. I'm like, yeah, but we're talking about things that don't exist now. Like,
Hmm.
it's funny.
Yeah,
We're making something that doesn't exist.
yeah. Oh boy. Right? Like the dream you had where should you jump off whatever into the water?
How is that any different than something that happened yesterday in real life kind of thing? How is
Yeah,
that? It's all just a story
yeah.
to
A
your
dream.
ears, to your ears. You know what I mean? Like it,
Yeah,
whether I dream about something or whether I actually do something, who cares?
yeah,
Right? Like
yeah,
the ego goes, oh, but that's different. It is, nothing's different.
yeah.
It's,
It's all
there's
still a
no,
dream. It's all
there's
still an illusion. And none of it matters. And yet
every
we've been
dream
taught
is a
everything
dream,
matters, but nothing matters. Nothing really matters.
even when it appears to matter. And we get to actually live out that, you know, thing that we value and it matters. We get to play through the game.
Yeah.
That's what we're here to do, just experience it.
Yes.
And it's a real experience, but it's still not real. That's the paradox of
Yes.
life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially when you, well, not especially, but when people talk about their near-death experience and they go into the oneness,
Yeah.
what kids, what dog, what job, what war, what,
Well, it's just another dream.
yeah,
We can't get outside of the dream. There's nobody there anyway to get outside anything. So it's just another story. But to the one that's having the experience,
hmm,
it it it, it feels real. It's a feeling, and it's based on it's based on our own reality.
yeah,
It's a reality, but yeah, it's
still
tricky.
not real.
No, it's just like a dream. It's our own experience, but it's what's so personal and intimate
Yeah.
that it can't be shared with others, because then it becomes a story, right?
And stories don't exist.
No, because it's stories are about the past, and the past is misty.
Misty.
It's a mist. There's nothing
Yeah,
there.
there's nothing there.
But it can still be talked about.
Yeah,
So that's the play in the game of what all this is.
yeah,
And so in that recognition is happiness. But happiness isn't something you can go, oh, I'm happy because
yeah.
an object or a it
I feel
can't
happy
be.
because I got a good night's sleep a couple of nights in a row. So it's easy to feel happy, but it's
If
still a
that's an
story.
emotion, but emotions come and go. And
Yeah,
who we truly are doesn't come and go.
that's
It
right.
doesn't change. It doesn't appear and disappear. And it's always self-known. It's always known, but not as an object. It's
Hmm.
intimate, immediate, present, whole and complete already, and there's nothing that needs to be added or taken away.
Hmm.
And that in that is our happiness.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a lot of words here to say
Yeah.
that. The italics at the
Yes.
bottom of the page, number 5. God gives me only happiness. He has
Yeah.
given my
And he,
function to me. It sounds like there's two, right? It sounds like God and me are separate,
yeah.
but it's language,
Yeah.
and language divides.
Yeah.
He has given my function to me. Well, it sounds like another division. Therefore, my function must be happiness. So, language, we can't go to language to find the truth.
Right.
We have to go
Yeah.
towards what is true, and that can't be defined, right? But it's always present, and
It
that's
is
what,
always present.
yeah. And that is the happiness, is that recognition is the happiness.
Yeah.
And it's just to see that judgment can still appear. See, there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
Like we've all the thoughts are always saying, "No, no, we got to try to get rid of judgment." But that is a judgment.
The judgments can
There's
just
nothing.
flow
Yeah,
as long as we
we don't
don't
need to get rid of
respond.
thoughts. We don't need to get rid of opinions. There's nothing wrong with opinions. But like I noticed the other day, when I'm speaking with somebody who believes that their opinions are their identity,
Hmm.
they will shut the door in my face
Yeah.
to a differing opinion
Yeah. Without a doubt.
because they've made separation real.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay. And it's like, okay, there's an awareness there not to speak about my own opinions because they're not welcome.
Yeah.
And and the kind of relationships I want, all opinions are welcome,
Yeah.
right? I get to have opinions, you get to have opinions, and we get to have a real relationship
Yes.
where everything's open and accepted and that we're not threatened by anything.
Yeah.
That is the truth of who we are. When we know who we are, we're not threatened by anything. But when you come up against somebody who's
The
threatened,
resistance.
they're
Yeah. Or
threatened
somebody
by
who's
other
resisting.
opinions. They're scared of they're scared of deception, and they're scared of anything that might oppose what they believe in.
Hmm.
The doors shut, and they
Yeah.
they they isolate themselves only with like-minded. It's like, but that's separation,
Yeah.
and that's their own hell,
Yeah.
right?
And it's good to notice that because that's not
Oh,
what we want.
because I had a belief that opinions were my enemy. Like, oh, they have a differing opinion,
They have the wrong opinion
and
because
stay
it's
away
not
from
mine.
them. Like, but that's fear
Yeah.
in something that isn't real. There is
Yeah.
nothing to fear.
That's right.
And how are we going to join if we're constantly closing doors on people who have different opinions? They don't mean anything. Like, why value them like your life depends on it? Like,
Yeah.
they're
Because it
nothing.
doesn't. They're nothing.
You can have them, but they're not like your saving grace.
And in 6 months, they'll be different.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They're constantly changing based on
Exactly.
new information.
Yeah.
So new information comes in, we discard the old opinions and we gather new ones.
Hmm.
I mean, but they're they're
We're
just
funny human
possessions.
beings.
They're just possessions in a way for a while, and then we get rid of them.
Hmm.
So to make them so valuable is a disservice to to ourself and to
Yeah.
others.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was a huge epiphany yesterday
Yeah.
because that was what was happening with my sister.
Yeah.
And
I
I
sense that.
realized my opposition. I was like, what is going on? I had to go deep into
Yeah.
what's going on. What I had to go on an expedition to investigate my emotional response. Like what is there? What is happening? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was like, oh, I thought I was afraid of her opinion, but it was actually she was afraid of mine. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's a contagion. It was like if I believe her opinions are true and mine are not true, then I'm in separation.
Yeah.
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 And there is no separation. So I had to reset in a way. And
Yeah.
that's what we can do. My happiness and my function are one.
Yeah.
And it's a reset.
It's a reset.
Yeah. And then it's all is well again. Like, oh, I guess it was just an indication where I was still clinging to a possession, thinking it was mine, it was me, and it
Yeah.
determined everything.
Yeah. Good for you to walk
Mhm.
through.
The noticing is our function.
Noticing is our function
Yeah.
and not responding. Or yeah.
Yeah, and seeing that it's all allowed. It's everything's accepted because everything is unreal.
Yeah.
And it's all okay, it's all inclusive. Like there's nothing that we need to shut the door on, right? Even though other people can shut the door on us, that's that's their own loss in a way.
Yeah.
But there's nothing we can do about it. We can't.
And there's nothing that's needed
No,
either.
that's right.
There's nothing that needs to be done.
Because there is a kind of a reaction sometimes when someone slams the door in my face, like,
Yeah.
oh,
Well,
okay,
that never feels good, right?
it doesn't feel good. But then I thought, okay, well, it doesn't feel good. Why? And to whom? Like, there's always this question. Is it,
Mm-hmm.
what am I believing is true? I believe I
Yeah.
can be shut out? No, because I am the sun. The sun can't be shut out from itself.
Exactly.
Like, yeah,
Fabulous.
yeah. So that's,
I'm going to end the recording here.
mhm.